In the bustling city of Chicago, amid the soaring skyscrapers and the hum of urban life, lived John and Emily Carter. They had been married for 12 years, sharing a cozy apartment in Lincoln Park with their two children, Ethan and Lily. John, a successful investment banker, and Emily, a marketing executive at a tech company, seemed to have the perfect life. Their marriage had been a harmonious blend of love, trust, and mutual respect, making them the epitome of a modern, successful couple. However, over the past few months, John began noticing subtle yet unsettling changes in Emily's behavior. She started dressing more meticulously for work, opting for sleek, professional attire that highlighted her natural elegance. Her once simple routine of coming home and spending time with the family shifted to a schedule filled with late-night meetings and business trips. Emily's phone, once casually left on the kitchen counter, was now always in her hand or tucked away in her purse, its screen often lighting up with messages late into the night. John's love for Emily remained steadfast, but these changes triggered a sense of unease. He couldn't help but feel that something was amiss. The intimacy they once shared had dwindled. Their conversations were now filled with mundane exchanges rather than the deep, meaningful discussions they used to enjoy. Despite his efforts to dismiss these thoughts as paranoia, the nagging feeling persisted. One evening after putting the kids to bed, John decided to confront Emily. "Emily, is everything all right? You've been different lately. Is there something going on at work?" he asked, his voice laced with genuine concern. Emily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, John, it's just been hectic at work. Ever since Mark became my new boss, he's been pushing us hard to meet deadlines. You know how it is." John nodded, wanting to believe her. Yet, the explanation seemed too convenient, too rehearsed. As the weeks passed, the unease grew. Emily's late-night texts and frequent absences became more common. John found solace in his children and threw himself into his work, hoping to drown out the doubts gnawing at his mind. Despite his best efforts, John's suspicions only deepened. He recalled an incident from a month ago when he had stopped by Emily's office to surprise her with lunch. He had seen her through the glass doors, engrossed in a conversation with a tall, charismatic man. They had been laughing, their heads close together in a way that seemed too intimate for a professional setting. When Emily noticed John, she had quickly introduced the man as Mark, her new boss, and brushed off the encounter as a routine work discussion. The memory lingered in John's mind, each recollection adding fuel to his suspicions. He began to notice other peculiarities: Emily's sudden interest in her appearance, the discreet smiles when she received texts, the way she avoided eye contact when he asked about her day. The final straw came when he overheard a late-night phone call between Emily and Mark, filled with hushed tones and soft laughter. Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, John decided to take matters into his own hands. He contacted a private investigation firm, discreetly requesting their services to uncover the truth about Emily's activities. The decision weighed heavily on him, but he needed to know the reality of the situation. For 3 agonizing months, John waited. The private investigators were thorough, blending into the background of Emily's life without raising suspicion. John found himself constantly on edge, dreading the day he would receive their report, yet desperate for the truth. Finally, the day came. John received a comprehensive dossier from the investigators. With trembling hands, he opened the package, revealing a trove of evidence: photographs, audio recordings, and video footage. Each piece confirmed his worst fears. Emily was indeed having an affair with her boss, Mark. The photographs showed Emily and Mark in various intimate settings, holding hands at a secluded cafe, sharing a kiss in a dimly lit bar, and leaving a hotel together. The audio recordings captured their whispered conversations, filled with terms of endearment and plans for their next rendezvous. The videos were the most damning, vividly displaying the depth of their relationship. John's heart shattered as he absorbed the evidence. He felt a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, sorrow, and a profound sense of loss. His mind raced with questions. Why would Emily risk everything they had built together? What had he done wrong? How could she betray him and their family? Despite the overwhelming pain, John's resolve hardened. He knew what he had to do. He contacted Grant, his attorney, and initiated divorce proceedings. He demanded that the papers be prepared by Wednesday afternoon, determined to confront Emily and Mark during their Thursday night rendezvous. Unbeknownst to Emily, John meticulously planned his confrontation. He envisioned the look of shock on her face, the guilt in her eyes as he revealed his knowledge of her betrayal. The thought of finally exposing the truth fueled his determination. As the days passed, John maintained a facade of normalcy at home. He continued his routine with the children, ensuring that Ethan and Lily remained unaware of the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. His heart ached at the thought of how their lives would change, but he knew that he couldn't continue living a lie. Thursday night arrived, and John was ready. He enlisted the help of a trusted friend, ensuring that every detail was in place for the confrontation. The venue was a quaint, upscale restaurant where Emily and Mark often met. John made arrangements with the staff, securing a private table and ensuring that they would be seated away from prying eyes. As he prepared to leave, John glanced at his reflection in the mirror. His eyes, once filled with love and warmth, now reflected a cold determination. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the confrontation that lay ahead. Tonight, he would uncover the truth and take the first step toward rebuilding his life, free from the shadow of betrayal. Thursday night descended upon Chicago, bringing with it a crisp autumn chill. John Carter drove through the city streets, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. He had chosen a classic steakhouse in the River North District for the confrontation, a place that boasted private booths and discreet service. It was a favorite among the city's elite, offering the perfect blend of elegance and seclusion for what he intended to do. As he pulled up to the restaurant, John felt a surge of determination. He parked his car and took a moment to steady his nerves. He had rehearsed this moment in his mind countless times, but the reality of it was far more daunting. He checked his phone one last time, ensuring that the private investigator's app was functioning properly. It allowed him to monitor Emily's communications in real time, a painful but necessary step to ensure he was fully prepared. Inside the restaurant, John approached the hostess with a confident smile. He had already tipped her generously to ensure cooperation. "Good evening, I believe there's a reservation under the name Emily Carter," he said. The hostess nodded, her eyes flicking with recognition. "Yes, Mr. Carter. Your table is ready. Please follow me." John followed her to a secluded booth at the back of the restaurant, partially hidden by a velvet curtain. He sat down, his heart pounding as he scanned the room. He didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, he saw Emily walk in, her arm linked with Mark's. They were greeted warmly by the hostess and led to a table not far from where John was seated, but just out of sight. From his vantage point, John could see their every move without being seen. Emily looked stunning in a form-fitting black dress, her hair styled in loose waves. It was a look she had never worn for him. The thought stung, fueling the fire of his anger. Mark was dressed in a sharp suit, his demeanor relaxed and confident. As they settled into their seats, John's phone vibrated with a notification. He opened the app and saw the messages exchanged between Emily and Mark. They were planning a weekend getaway, something that made John's blood boil. His grip tightened around his phone, but he forced himself to remain calm. He had to play this carefully. With a deep breath, John signaled to the hostess. She nodded and discreetly approached Emily and Mark's table. "Mr. Carter, your guest has arrived," she announced. Emily's eyes widened in surprise as she looked up to see John standing there. Mark's expression shifted from confusion to a forced smile. "John, what are you doing here?" Emily asked, her voice tinged with nervousness. John walked over to their table, pulling a chair from a nearby table and sitting down without waiting for an invitation. "I thought I'd join you two for dinner," he said, his tone casual but his eyes hard. "After all, it's been a while since we've all caught up." Emily glanced at Mark, her composure wavering. "John, this is a business dinner. We're discussing some upcoming projects." John raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing at his lips. "Really? It looks more like a date to me." Mark cleared his throat, trying to maintain his professional demeanor. "John, I assure you, this is purely business." John leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Business, huh? Is that what you call sneaking around behind my back? The tension at the table was palpable. Emily's face flushed with guilt, while Mark shifted uncomfortably in his seat. John could see the wheels turning in their heads as they tried to figure out how to salvage the situation. "John, please," Emily began, her voice trembling. "Let's not make a scene." John's eyes bore into hers. "A scene? Emily, I think it's a bit late for that. I know everything." He pulled out his phone and laid it on the table, playing one of the audio recordings from the private investigator. Emily's voice, filled with affection, spoke to Mark in a way that made John's heart ache. He watched as the color drained from her face, her hands trembling. "How could you?" John's voice was low, filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. "After everything we've been through, after all we've built together." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "John, I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to be like this." Mark, sensing the gravity of the situation, tried to intervene. "John, if I may." John cut him off with a sharp glare. "You may not. You've said enough." The restaurant staff, sensing the escalating tension, kept their distance but remained watchful. John took a moment to collect his thoughts, his mind racing with the implications of what he was about to do. He looked at Emily, the woman he had loved for so long, and felt a pang of regret for what they had lost. "I've already contacted my lawyer," John said, his voice steady. "The divorce papers are ready. You'll be served tomorrow." Emily's eyes widened in shock. "Divorce? John, please, can't we talk about this?" John shook his head, the pain in his eyes evident. "Talk? Emily, I've seen the photos, I've heard the recordings. There's nothing left to say." He turned to Mark, his expression cold. "And you're going to pay for this. Not just with your job, but with everything you hold dear." Mark's confident facade crumbled. "John, please, let's be reasonable." "Reasonable?" John echoed, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. "You should have thought about that before you decided to seduce my wife." He stood up, towering over the table. "Enjoy your dinner," he said, his voice filled with finality, "because it's the last one you'll have together." With that, John walked away, leaving Emily and Mark in stunned silence. He exited the restaurant, the cool night air hitting him like a wave. He took a deep breath, feeling a sense of liberation mixed with the heavy weight of heartbreak. As he got into his car and drove away, John couldn't help but replay the evening's events in his mind. The confrontation had been brutal but necessary. Now he had to focus on the future, on rebuilding his life and protecting his children from the fallout of Emily's betrayal. Despite the pain, John felt a glimmer of hope. He had faced the truth head-on and taken the first steps toward a new beginning. And while the road ahead would be difficult, he knew he had the strength to navigate it. The drive home from the restaurant was a blur. John's mind was a tempest of emotions, but he maintained a steely resolve. He pulled into the driveway of their Lincoln Park home, the familiar sight of the house offering a bittersweet comfort. This was the home where they had built their lives, raised their children, and shared countless memories. But now it felt like a monument to a past that had been irreparably shattered. John entered the house quietly, careful not to wake Ethan and Lily. He made his way to the living room, sinking into the leather armchair he had claimed as his own years ago. The events of the evening played out in his mind like a bad movie, each detail etched into his memory. He felt a profound sense of loss, but also a grim satisfaction. The truth was out, and there was no turning back. The next morning, John woke early, his sleep fitful and restless. He moved through the house with purpose, ready to face the day and the inevitable fallout from the confrontation. As he made breakfast for the kids, he heard Emily's car pull into the driveway. She had stayed out the previous night, likely with Mark, trying to figure out her next move. Emily entered the house, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. She looked at John, her expression a mix of guilt and desperation. "John, can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. John glanced at her, his face a mask of calm determination. "Not now, Emily. The kids will be up soon, and they don't need to see us like this. We'll talk later." Emily nodded, her shoulders sagging as she made her way upstairs to shower and change. John watched her go, a pang of sorrow piercing his heart. He had loved her deeply, and despite everything, a part of him still did. But the betrayal was too deep, the trust too broken. Later that morning, after dropping the kids off at school, John and Emily sat down in the living room. The air was thick with tension, both of them knowing that this conversation would determine the future of their relationship. "John, I'm so sorry for what I did," Emily began, her voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you or the kids. It just happened." John's expression remained stoic. "It didn't just happen, Emily. You made a choice. A choice to lie, to cheat, to betray our family." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I know, and I regret it every day. Please, can't we try to work through this? For the sake of the kids?" John shook his head, his resolve unwavering. "I've already filed for divorce. This isn't something I can just forgive and forget. The trust is gone, Emily. And without trust, there's no foundation for our marriage." Emily sobbed, burying her face in her hands. John felt a pang of sympathy but pushed it aside. He needed to stay strong for himself and for the children. They deserve stability and honesty, not a marriage built on lies. "I want what's best for Ethan and Lily," John continued, his tone firm but not unkind. "We'll work out the custody arrangements, but they need to know the truth, at least as much as they can understand." Emily nodded, her tears still flowing. "I'll move out this weekend," she said, her voice barely audible. "I'll explain to them that I need some time away, as we both do." John sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's going to be hard on them. But we need to be honest, and we need to be there for them." The rest of the day passed in a haze of legal documents and difficult conversations. John contacted his lawyer to finalize the divorce papers, ensuring that everything was in place for the official proceedings. Emily, meanwhile, began packing her things, her heart heavy with the weight of her mistakes. That evening after dinner, John and Emily sat the kids down to explain the situation. It was the hardest conversation John had ever had. Ethan and Lily's innocent faces were filled with confusion and sadness as they tried to comprehend what was happening. "Mom and Dad need some time apart," John explained gently. "It's not your fault, and we both love you very much. But sometimes, adults have problems that are too big to fix, and we think it's best if we live separately for a while." Ethan, the older of the two, looked at his parents with wide eyes. "Are you getting a divorce?" he asked, his voice trembling. John nodded, his heart breaking at the sight of his son's distress. "Yes, buddy, we are. But we're still a family, and we'll always be here for you and Lily." Lily, too young to fully understand, clung to her mother, tears streaming down her face. "Why can't we all stay together?" she asked, her small voice filled with heartbreak. Emily hugged her tightly, trying to soothe her. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, sweetie, but we both love you and Ethan so much, and that will never change." The next few days were a blur of emotional farewells and difficult adjustments. Emily moved into a small apartment nearby, allowing her to stay close to the kids. John took on the primary caregiving role, juggling work and family responsibilities with a newfound determination. The house felt emptier without Emily, but John found solace in his children, pouring his love and energy into making their lives as stable as possible. In the weeks that followed, John and Emily worked to establish a new normal. They communicated civilly for the sake of the kids, coordinating schedules and ensuring that Ethan and Lily's routines remained consistent. It was a difficult transition, but John remained resolute. He had made the right decision, and now it was about moving forward. One afternoon, John received a call from Mark, the last person he wanted to hear from, but he answered nonetheless. "What do you want?" John asked, his tone clipped. "John, I know you have every reason to hate me," Mark began, his voice unusually humble. "But I want to make things right. I've spoken with Emily, and I'm willing to help her financially while she gets back on her feet. I owe you both that much." John listened, his anger simmering beneath the surface. "You owe us a lot more than that," he replied, his voice cold. "But if you're serious about helping Emily, then do it. She needs the support, especially for the kid's sake. Mark sighed. I understand. I'm truly sorry for everything, John. I never meant for things to get this out of hand. John felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a reluctant acceptance. It's too late for apologies, Mark. Just do the right thing from now on. As he hung up the phone, John couldn't help but reflect on how much his life had changed. The betrayal had cut deep, but it had also revealed a strength within him he hadn't known he possessed. He was determined to rebuild his life and create a new, stronger foundation for himself and his children. The months following the divorce were challenging, but John found a sense of peace in the routine he established with Ethan and Lily. He took pride in being there for his children, attending their school events, helping with homework, and ensuring they felt loved and supported. The bond between them grew stronger, providing a source of comfort and stability. Emily, meanwhile, focused on rebuilding her own life. She attended therapy sessions to understand her actions and sought to make amends with John and the children. While their relationship remained strained, John appreciated her efforts to be a good mother and to co-parent effectively. One evening, as John was helping Ethan with his math homework, he received a message from an old college friend, Sarah. They had lost touch over the years, but she had recently moved back to Chicago and was looking to reconnect. Hey, John. Long time no see. I heard about everything and wanted to check in. How are you holding up? The message read. John smiled at the familiar name. Sarah had always been a good friend, and he welcomed the opportunity to catch up. They arranged to meet for coffee the following weekend, and John felt a flicker of excitement at the prospect of seeing her again. The coffee shop was bustling with activity as John walked in, scanning the room for Sarah. She waved from a corner table, her smile as warm and genuine as he remembered. They embraced, the years melting away as they caught up on each other's lives. Over the next hour, they talked about everything: work, family, and the twists and turns life had taken. John found himself opening up to Sarah in a way he hadn't with anyone else since the divorce. There was a comfort in their shared history, a sense of familiarity that made it easy to talk. As they finished their coffees, Sarah reached across the table and took John's hand. I'm really glad we reconnected, John. You've been through so much, but you're still the same, kind, strong person I remember. John felt a warmth spread through him at her words. Thanks, Sarah. It's been a rough ride, but I'm trying to move forward. It's great to have a friend like you to talk to. They began meeting regularly, their friendship deepening with each encounter. Sarah's presence brought a lightness to John's life, a reminder that there was still joy to be found amidst the challenges. Their connection grew stronger, and John found himself looking forward to their time together, the spark of something more beginning to flicker between them. As the seasons changed, so did John's outlook on life. The pain of Emily's betrayal had faded to a dull ache, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. He was ready to embrace the future, whatever it might hold. One crisp autumn evening, as they walked through Lincoln Park, Sarah turned to John with a thoughtful expression. John, have you ever thought about what's next? I mean, for you personally, not just with the kids or work. John considered her question, a slow smile spreading across his face. I have actually. I want to keep building a good life for Ethan and Lily, but I also want to see where things go with us. Sarah's eyes lit up with a mixture of surprise and happiness. Really? I was hoping you'd say that. John took her hand, feeling a sense of rightness in the moment. Sarah, you've been a rock for me these past few months. I don't know what the future holds, but I'd like to find out together. She smiled, leaning into him as they continued their walk. I'd like that too, John. More than you know. As they walked through the park, the city lights twinkling around them, John felt a renewed sense of hope. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had led him to a place of healing and new beginnings. With Sarah by his side, he was ready to embrace whatever came next, confident in the strength he had found within himself and the love he had for his children. As winter settled in Chicago, John found himself embracing the changes in his life with a sense of purpose. His routine with Ethan and Lily became a comforting rhythm, and his relationship with Sarah continued to blossom. They spent time together exploring the city, enjoying everything from the festive lights at Millennium Park to cozy evenings by the fireplace in John's living room. One weekend, John and Sarah took Ethan and Lily to the shed aquarium. The kids were thrilled, their eyes wide with wonder as they marveled at the sea creatures. John watched with a smile as Sarah interacted with his children, her warmth and kindness evident in every gesture. It was moments like these that reinforced his belief that he was on the right path. Sarah fit seamlessly into their lives, and her presence brought a new sense of joy to their family dynamic. John appreciated her support and understanding, especially when it came to dealing with the complexities of co-parenting with Emily. Although the relationship with Emily remained strained, they both worked hard to maintain a sense of normalcy for the children. One chilly Saturday morning, as John and Sarah sipped coffee in the kitchen, Ethan and Lily burst in, their faces alight with excitement. "Dad, can we go ice skating today?" Ethan asked, his eyes pleading. John glanced at Sarah, who nodded enthusiastically. "I think that's a great idea," she said. "What do you think, John?" John smiled, ruffling Ethan's hair. "All right, let's do it. But only if you promise not to laugh at me when I fall," he teased. The laughter that followed was a balm to John's heart. They spent the day at the local ice rink, with Ethan and Lily gliding effortlessly, while John and Sarah wobbled and laughed, holding on to each other for support. It was a day filled with joy and togetherness, a reminder of the simple pleasures in life. As the months went by, John and Sarah's relationship grew deeper. They shared their dreams and fears, supporting each other through the ups and downs. John felt a sense of stability and happiness that he hadn't experienced in a long time. He knew that his journey of healing was far from over, but with Sarah by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. One evening after the kids had gone to bed, John and Sarah sat on the couch, a fire crackling in the fireplace. Sarah turned to John, her expression serious yet tender. "John, I've been thinking a lot about us," she began, "about our future." John felt a flutter of anticipation. "What are you thinking?" he asked, his voice gentle. Sarah took a deep breath. "I love you, John, and I love Ethan and Lily. I want to be a part of your lives, not just as a friend or a girlfriend, but as a partner. What do you think about us moving in together?" John's heart swelled with emotion. He had thought about this too, but hearing Sarah voice it made it all the more real. "I love you too, Sarah," he said, taking her hands in his. "And I'd love nothing more than to have you as a part of our family. Let's do it." They spent the next few weeks planning the move, carefully considering how to make the transition as smooth as possible for Ethan and Lily. When they finally moved in together, it felt natural, as if it had always been meant to be. The house was filled with laughter and love, the once empty spaces now brimming with warmth and happiness. Emily continued to be a part of the children's lives, and John and Sarah made sure to include her in important events and milestones. It wasn't always easy, but they navigated the complexities with grace and mutual respect. Emily had also found a sense of peace in her new life, focusing on her career and personal growth. One spring afternoon, as they gathered for Ethan's school play, John reflected on how far they had all come. He watched as Ethan and Lily performed on stage, their faces glowing with pride and excitement. Beside him, Sarah and Emily cheered them on, the differences between them momentarily forgotten in the shared joy of their children's achievements. After the play, they all went out for ice cream, a tradition that had begun when Ethan was in kindergarten. The kids chattered excitedly about their performance, and John felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life they had built. It hadn't been an easy journey, but it had been worth it. As they walked home, Sarah slipped her hand into John's. "You know, I think we've got a pretty good thing going here," she said, her eyes sparkling with affection. John smiled, pulling her close. "Yeah, I think so too. Thank you for being a part of our lives, Sarah. I can't imagine it any other way." Sarah leaned in and kissed him, a soft, lingering kiss that spoke of love and commitment. "Here's to the future, John. Whatever it holds, we'll face it together." John nodded, feeling a sense of peace settle over him. He had learned that life was full of unexpected twists and turns, but with love, resilience, and the support of those who mattered most, he could overcome anything. As he walked hand in hand with Sarah, their children laughing and skipping ahead, John knew that the best was yet to come. Summer arrived in Chicago, bringing with it long, sunny days and warm evenings. John and Sarah settled into their new life together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They spent weekends exploring the city, taking the kids to the beach, and hosting barbecues in their backyard. The house was filled with laughter and love, and John felt a sense of contentment he hadn't known in a long time. One Saturday morning, as they were having breakfast on the patio, Sarah turned to John with a thoughtful expression. "John, I've been thinking," she began, hesitating slightly. John looked at her, curiosity piqued. "What is it, Sarah?" She took a deep breath. "I know we've talked about our future, and I'm so happy with where we are. But I've been wondering, how would you feel about us getting married?" John's heart skipped a beat. He'd considered the idea himself, but hearing Sarah voice it made it all more real. He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Sarah, there's nothing I'd love more than to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Yes, John, yes, I want to marry you." They embraced, the promise of a shared future filling them both with happiness. Ethan and Lily, who had been playing nearby, ran over, sensing the excitement. "What's going on?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. John and Sarah shared a smile before John spoke. "Kids, Sarah and I are getting married. What do you think about that?" Ethan and Lily's faces lit up with joy. "Really? That's awesome." Ethan exclaimed while Lily hugged Sarah tightly. "We're going to be a real family," she said, her voice filled with excitement. The next few months were a whirlwind of wedding preparations. They decided on a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family, wanting to keep the focus on their love and commitment. The kids were thrilled to be involved, with Ethan serving as the ring bearer and Lily as the flower girl. The day of the wedding arrived, a beautiful sunny day in late September. They chose a picturesque garden in Lincoln Park for the ceremony, the lush greenery and blooming flowers providing a perfect backdrop. John stood at the altar, his heart racing with anticipation as he watched Sarah walk down the aisle, her eyes shining with love. As she reached him, they joined hands, the world around them fading away as they gazed into each other's eyes. The officiant began the ceremony, speaking of love, commitment, and the journey they had undertaken to reach this moment. "John and Sarah, today you stand before your loved ones to declare your love and commitment to each other. Your journey has been one of strength, resilience, and unwavering support. May your love continue to grow and flourish, bringing joy and happiness to your lives." John and Sarah exchanged vows, their voices steady with emotion. "I, John, take you, Sarah, to be my wife. I promise to love, honor, and cherish you, to stand by your side through all of life's challenges and joys. You are my rock, my confidant, and my best friend. I love you with all my heart. And I, Sarah, take you, John, to be my husband. I promise to love, honor, and cherish you, to support you in all that you do. You are my strength, my protector, and my soulmate. I love you with all my heart." They exchanged rings, symbols of their eternal love and commitment. As the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, they shared a kiss, the world around them erupting in applause and cheers. Ethan and Lily ran up to them, hugging them tightly, their faces beaming with happiness. The reception was a joyful celebration, filled with laughter, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. Emily attended as well, her presence a testament to the respect and understanding they had managed to maintain for the sake of the children. She offered her congratulations with genuine warmth, wishing John and Sarah all the happiness in the world. As the evening drew to a close, John and Sarah stood together, watching their friends and family enjoy the festivities. "We did it," Sarah said softly, leaning her head on John's shoulder. John smiled, wrapping his arm around her. "Yes, we did, and this is just the beginning." They spent their honeymoon in Hawaii, a perfect blend of relaxation and adventure. They hiked through lush rainforests, snorkeled in crystal clear waters, and enjoyed quiet evenings under the stars. It was a time of renewal and deepening connection, a chance to reflect on their journey and look forward to the future. Upon returning to Chicago, they resumed their lives with a renewed sense of purpose. They continued to build their home together, creating a warm and welcoming space filled with love and laughter. John and Sarah supported each other's dreams and ambitions, finding joy in both the big and small moments of everyday life. John's career continued to thrive, and he found a new sense of fulfillment in mentoring younger colleagues, sharing the wisdom he had gained through his own experiences. Sarah, too, flourished in her work, finding satisfaction in her role and the positive impact she made in her community. Ethan and Lily adjusted well to their new family dynamic, thriving in the stable and loving environment John and Sarah provided. They continued to share special moments and create lasting memories, from family vacations to simple evenings at home. As the years passed, John and Sarah's love only grew stronger. They faced challenges together, always emerging with a deeper understanding and appreciation for each other. Their home was a haven of warmth and happiness, a place where they could always find solace and support. One evening, as they sat on the porch, watching the sunset, Sarah turned to John with a contented smile. "Do you remember when we first reconnected?" she asked. John chuckled, nodding. "How could I forget? That coffee shop meeting changed everything." Sarah squeezed his hand. "It feels like a lifetime ago, but also like it was just yesterday. I'm so grateful for every moment we've had together." John kissed her gently. "Me too, Sarah. You've brought so much joy and love into my life. I can't imagine it any other way." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. The future was still full of unknowns, but they knew they would face it together, their love and commitment unwavering. As the stars began to twinkle above, John and Sarah knew that their journey was far from over. They had built a life filled with love, resilience, and hope, a testament to the strength of their bond. And as they looked forward to the years ahead, they knew that whatever challenges came their way, they would face them hand in hand, their hearts forever intertwined. The passage of time brought new challenges and opportunities for John and Sarah, but their bond remained unshakable. As they settled into their life together, they continued to support each other through the ups and downs. Their love was a source of strength, helping them navigate the complexities of their blended family and their individual careers. One autumn evening, as they were preparing dinner, the phone rang. John answered, his expression shifting from curiosity to concern as he listened. When he hung up, he turned to Sarah with a serious look. That was the school principal. "Ethan's been having some issues at school." Sarah frowned, worry etched on her face. "What kind of issues?" John sighed. "It seems he's been getting into fights. The principal wants us to come in for a meeting tomorrow." The news hit them hard. Ethan had always been a good student, but the recent changes in their family dynamics might have taken a toll on him. They spent the evening discussing how best to handle the situation, both determined to support Ethan through whatever was troubling him. The next day, they met with the principal and Ethan's teachers. They learned that Ethan had been struggling with anger and frustration, which he had been expressing through physical altercations with his classmates. It was clear that he was having a hard time adjusting to the changes in his family life. John and Sarah spoke with Ethan afterward, sitting him down in the living room. "Ethan, we need to talk about what's been going on at school," John began gently. Ethan looked down at his hands, his face tense. "I didn't mean to get into fights. I just get so mad sometimes." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's okay to feel angry, Ethan, but we need to find better ways to deal with those feelings. Hurting others isn't the answer." John nodded. "We're here for you, buddy. We want to help you work through this. Maybe we can talk to someone, like a counselor, who can help you manage your anger." Ethan nodded reluctantly. "Okay, Dad, I'll try." They arranged for Ethan to see a counselor, hoping that professional guidance would help him navigate his emotions. Over the next few months, Ethan made progress, learning to express his feelings in healthier ways. John and Sarah attended some of the sessions with him, gaining insights into how they could better support him at home. Meanwhile, Lily was flourishing in school, her bubbly personality making her popular with her classmates. She joined the school choir, and John and Sarah attended every performance, their hearts swelling with pride as they watched her sing with enthusiasm. As the family worked through these challenges, John received an exciting opportunity at work. He was offered a promotion that would involve more responsibilities and travel. While it was a significant career advancement, it also meant spending more time away from home. John discussed the offer with Sarah, weighing the pros and cons. "This promotion is a big step for my career, but I don't want it to come at the expense of our family," he said, his voice thoughtful. Sarah smiled, her support unwavering. "John, you've worked hard for this. We can make it work. We'll find a balance that allows you to pursue your career while still being there for the kids and for us." Reassured by Sarah's confidence, John accepted the promotion. They adjusted their routines to accommodate his new schedule, making the most of the time they had together. Sarah took on more responsibilities at home, her love and dedication shining through in everything she did. Despite the increased workload and travel, John made sure to stay connected with his family. He used video calls to keep in touch with Sarah and the kids, sharing their daily experiences and staying involved in their lives. The separation was difficult, but their love and commitment helped them navigate the challenges. One evening, during a business trip to New York, John received a call from Emily. It was unusual for her to contact him directly, so he answered with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Emily, is everything okay?" Her voice was strained. "John, I'm sorry to bother you, but I need your help. I've been diagnosed with a serious illness, and I don't know how to tell the kids." John's heart sank. Despite their past differences, he still cared about Emily and wanted to support her. "Emily, I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll get through this together. Let's sit down with the kids and explain what's going on. They need to hear it from both of us." They arranged a meeting at Emily's apartment. John and Sarah joined Emily and the kids, creating a supportive environment for the difficult conversation. Emily explained her diagnosis, reassuring Ethan and Lily that she would be getting the best possible treatment and that they would all support each other through it. Ethan and Lily reacted with a mix of fear and sadness, but John and Sarah's presence provided a sense of stability. They spent the evening comforting the children, answering their questions, and offering words of encouragement. As Emily began her treatment, John and Sarah stepped up to help with the kids, ensuring they had a stable and loving environment. They coordinated schedules, attended medical appointments, and provided emotional support. The experience brought them all closer, reinforcing the bonds of their extended family. Through it all, John and Sarah's love remained a constant source of strength. They navigated the complexities of their blended family with grace and resilience, facing each challenge with unwavering commitment to each other and to their children. As the years passed, they continued to build a life filled with love, laughter, and shared experiences. They celebrated milestones, supported each other through difficulties, and cherished the simple joys of everyday life. Their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with confidence, knowing that their love would guide them through whatever lay ahead. One warm summer evening, as they sat on the porch, watching the sunset, John turned to Sarah with a contented smile. "We've been through so much together, and I wouldn't change a thing. I love you more every day." Sarah leaned into him, her eyes filled with love. "I love you too, John. Here's to many more years of happiness and adventure." As the stars began to twinkle above, John and Sarah knew that their journey was one of love, resilience, and hope. They had built a life together, filled with the warmth of family and the strength of their bond. And as they looked forward to the future, they knew that whatever challenges came their way, they would face them together, hand in hand, their hearts forever intertwined.